I don't have to tell you, the economy doesn't feel excellent right now, right? When things get tight, we tend to cut luxuries. And this year, especially with the entertainment industry, we saw many people scaling back spending on non-essentials, but also cutting their luxury beliefs. Let's talk about what that means and how we're seeing it play out. Now, I'm lifting the term luxury belief straight from Rob Henderson, who's been talking about this idea for some time. He wrote a book recently, and it's only partially about this idea that he talks about so much for some reason. To explain Rob's idea, however, luxury beliefs are the new status symbol that has taken the place of luxury goods, which used to be how you earned or displayed your high place in society. We use the term luxury in two ways, and Rob's idea is not about simply non-essentials, indulgences, splurges. We're talking about luxury in the sense of high class, something that is about more than money, because some things you can't put a price on. Like the value of you hitting that like button. Oh, that was solid gold. Hey, speaking of gold, I feel like a great champion when I'm drinking from this mug. He even has a little lid. Luxury goods are something like a wine collection. Having a cellar full of expensive wine isn't about the dollar amount. It says something about you. Not only can you afford all of this wine that does indeed cost a fortune, but you also have the space to store these racks of wine. You have the extra money to consume a lot of wine in the process of learning about it. You have the luxury of spending your time learning the tastes and terminology.
I think we can agree that all wine tastes the same, and if you spend more than $5 on wine, you are very stupid.
I agree, April. A $10 bottle of Members Mark Cabernet was my preference, and my ceiling. I don't know if that's still a medium price or not. I quit drinking wine a little while ago, not for moral reasons, I'm just cheap. It's an exclusive club to hang around other knowledgeable wine people. The luxury is the echelon of society that it puts you in. Now, one of Rob's key points is that a true luxury like this would ruin a regular person, and that exclusivity is part of what makes it so desirable. However, what we find is that the lower classes still try to emulate these luxuries because they see the upper class doing it. Why is the Chrysler C300 so popular? Partly because it looks like a Phantom.
They do look like a Phantom until a Phantom pull up.
You probably can't afford a Rolex, but Invicta sure looks similar. You cannot shop at Hermes in the hopes that they will magnanimously offer you the opportunity to purchase a $35,000 Birkin bag. But Coach is an affordable luxury purse. Now, just like luxury goods, luxury beliefs are something that not just anyone can own. They signal social status and are impractical or even harmful for we lay people to adopt. For evidence that these two spheres intersect and are used for status, look no further than the recent rebrand of Jaguar. Yeah, it looks stupid to you and I, but we are not the target audience. The kind of person who would buy a Jaguar is. I think a lot of people missed the point on this one. They aren't trying really to push their own ideology. They are conveying what a safe and trendy brand they are to the lady at the country club who brags to her friends about how she campaigned for the local schools to have genderless bathrooms and how many minorities her husband hires at his company because of her insistence. These sorts of showy yet impractical beliefs are everywhere. There is an abundance of luxury parenting advice on the internet. Phrases like, all family structures are equal, and let your kids choose their own path sound amazing and make the speaker seem like a caring and gentle person. Usually, however, the folks saying this either don't have kids or are affording private school, therapy, numerous extracurriculars, plus they have their own professional network that their kids will have access to. They will not deal with the same consequences as regular people. Just like the calls to defund the police were usually coming from inside the comfort of gated communities. However, if YouTube told you about me, it's probably because you like to talk about movies, shows, and video games. So let's discuss how those industries are packed with luxury beliefs that the audience is not enjoying and cannot afford to keep supporting. The entertainment industry is under stress because it was already a luxury in the non-essential sense, and now it's become a luxury industry full of luxury beliefs. For the most part, those beliefs come in the form of progressive social ideas, which are becoming more difficult to define and are a luxury in that they are hurting the regular people who try to adopt them. When you add in the economic pressure the audience is facing, plus the decreasing quality of entertainment in general, you have the disastrous year that we've seen play out. Progressive social ideas, such as identity politics, have been struggling for more than just this year, but 2024 brought into focus how immense the hurdles are for social progressives now. It's true that the audience's money is getting tight, but beyond that, there remains the much larger problem that very few tangible objectives remain. Yes-no goals, like gay marriage. Nobody ever stopped to ask why the government was making unique rules for this one type of contract and why we were arguing over who got the special privilege of a government permission slip. But I digress. You've got an objective goal right here. That group gets the government sticker of approval. This one does not. We want this group to join that group. Easy to understand and fight for. What we're seeing now is that there isn't much left that fits in these neat boundaries, which makes the luxury of fighting for them even more expensive and thus confers more status. More and more, social progressivism is about degrees and subjective goals. A great example of this is a yearly GLAAD report that they call Where We Are on TV. Last year's report listed stats such as, on primetime scripted cable, GLAAD counted 86 regular characters and 53 recurring characters who were LGBTQ, which is an increase of 1 from the previous year's total. You can now be openly gay and act, write, direct, produce, all of it, which leaves GLAAD having to argue that the numbers in these categories should just be higher.
But more! With just a little bit extra.
You're seeing the difficulty, right? Over here, hey, gay people cannot get married, and we think they should. Will you join us? That's a clear goal. You can support, you can vote for that. Over here, hey, there do currently exist non-binary characters in a major role on primetime scripted cable, but we want the number of non-binary characters in a major role on primetime scripted cable to be higher. This wine has 0.8% more tannins than that wine. Great. See why nobody's caring? Remember, part of Henderson's definition was that ultra luxuries end up hurting the regular people that try to adopt them. And we're seeing that come true this year. What identity politics has taught the audience is that their identity group is valuable all by itself, though they were misled as to why. We saw Hollywood race and gender swapping characters, companies bragging about their inclusive and diverse hiring, and award ceremonies assigning eligibility quotas based on these identity groups. What that says to certain groups is that just by being a certain gender, skin color, or sexuality, that their identity brings value to the company or production. And we've seen many individuals start to buy into that. Unfortunately, they didn't read the fine print underneath, which is your identity brings value to our public image. Not only did the focus on sexuality force many to out themselves because the organization needed to fill quotas, we're now seeing the popularity of efforts like DEI start to wane, and large corporations are cutting staff, usually starting with those DEI departments. So now we have workers that didn't get meaningful experience or any constructive criticism, since that's bigotry. They got used to a salary that did not match their skill set, and now they're filled with false expectation as they search for a job while using a resume that leads with inclusion specialist as the last 2 years of experience. You've got many low-skilled actors and writers who are finding their opportunities drying up with very few career alternatives now that they've tried to go into this business full-time. They are going to get burned, and celebrities and studio execs who push this garbage will not be bothered.
Ha! You really should have thought of that before you became peasants.
Something that's becoming clear to these companies is that many of the diversity hires don't offer real value to the business. Just like entertainment consumers are seeing that movies, shows, and games that are leaning into representation also have a distinct lack of quality more often than not. For a large amount of the audience, movies and video games are becoming the normal usage of luxury. They're non-essential indulgences that can only be afforded a handful of times per year. If you're going to the theater a couple times this year, you're going to get choosy. And like watching Justice Smith act out Kobe Levy's poorly written victim fantasy about the lie of assimilation, his words, that's a hard pass. When being asked to spend $70 on a role-playing game and you hear about getting lectured on how to grovel after misgendering, and you take breaks from saving the world to resolve conflicts among your team with dialogue that belongs in an episode of Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood that's about the power of friendship and sharing, that's also a hard pass.
You two could still learn things together you'd never find out alone. Emmerich, you clearly find talking about dragons boring.
What? How? Who doesn't like dragons?
Aren't you curious why Tash likes them as much as you like necromancy?
The question crossed my mind.
And maybe Emmerich could help demystify magic, Tash.
This is another way that following luxury ideas can be detrimental to a regular person. Movies and games are not only more expensive, but the quality has gone down, so you're being asked to spend more money on something that leaves you feeling not great. Rich people have the time and money to waste on entertainment they don't care about, but regular people don't. Doesn't matter how refined it makes you look or how good you feel drinking fair trade, organic, locally sourced wine if it tastes like straight up vinegar. Movies are already a luxury in the splurge sense, so a luxury outing about luxury beliefs is a non-starter for a growing portion of the audience. As we already saw, the motivation drops off even more when the cause that you're supposed to be supporting is make sure there is a 1% increase of current year preferred group in leading roles over last year. In the past, you might overlook a slight dip in quality to show what a good ally you are, and some of you are not even trying to be allies, but you could afford to ignore the cringy pandering bits. Now, neither group wants to pay to participate. Unfortunately for the social progress industry, they are running out of mid-range customers, which all luxury industries secretly need in order to survive. The wine industry, like any luxury good, is not supported by rich people buying $10,000 bottles. You know, in America, wines under $10 represent over 75% of sales by volume. Wine partly keeps restaurants afloat. It's one of the highest margin items on the menu. This industry needs you to feel that you can have affordable luxury. And your entire life has also been filled with images and movies, TV of refined people imbibing this refined beverage. All luxury industries operate this way, and social progressivism is no different. Athletes, celebrities, journalists, they can talk and tweet about social issues all they want. But just like the grapes, they are not enough to keep it alive. They need a large quantity of small-scale investment from you. Now, you can get in the game for free, changing your profile pic to a black square, maybe something with a rainbow on it, signing change.org petitions, which are entirely fake, by the way. The address of this channel was used to support renewing the Acolyte, and the website didn't even bother to verify it. But they need monetary support, and there are a plethora of $10 bottles for you to buy. Keep your subscription paid up and spend your time watching TV shows that feature a cause heavily. Time is capital in the attention economy. You can buy movie tickets, merch, buy those video games, any kind of product whose main selling point is, look, it has diversity, or look, a non-white man made this. Unfortunately, for the folks who were making a living selling this schlock, two simultaneous problems are arising. One, we just discussed, the lowering quality. Two, turns out that people, in general, are pretty lazy. When given the options of feeling like a good person by A, monetarily supporting a cause, or B, getting the exact same emotional high for free by posting under a hashtag, would you be shocked that the latter wins in a landslide that causes an avalanche, that turns into a tsunami, that then causes a volcanic eruption? That's probably not geologically possible. The point is, it's a huge win for option B. Something companies are finally starting to notice in recent years is that tweets are not legal tender, and overwhelming online support does not translate into sales. It's not just entertainment, we can see it playing out in politics as well. The American election this year was fascinating to watch unfold for many reasons. Today's topic played a big part and reminded a lot of people of an aspect of the electorate that really should be common sense. Money comes first. I've seen large quantities of folks online wondering how Trump supporters can possibly overlook his personal failings. Look at the things he said, the people that he's mocked, his multiple marriages and infidelities. Why doesn't anyone care? Because they can't afford to care right now. Those are valid concerns. They're just lower priority than grocery prices. If you watched a lot of election coverage, you might have noticed that Trump did quite well in Nevada, which surprised some folks. He campaigned there on a promise to get rid of taxes on tips, and the servicing industries in Nevada are, as he might say, huge. With eggs being over $4 a dozen, those service workers heard about that policy, and I'm pretty sure they said to each other, no tax on tips. Melania stayed. See, that's what I'm trying to say. If she's not mad, why am I mad? Right? That's not my marriage. I'm not trying to be in other people's relationships, right? Live and let live is what I have always said. I've always said, okay, Mr. President, this policy is the only tip we care about now. I'm not trying to convince you that his personal life should or should not matter. I am trying to convince you that a lot of people don't have the luxury of caring anymore. Mean-spirited tweets, environmentalism, government-funded social programs, research. These issues are the other passengers, and a lot of America is just trying to get their own oxygen mask on right now. I hope you can see why these changes in entertainment and politics are more than simply tightening budgets. Unless they're in dire straits, most people still find a way to afford what they genuinely value. And the sales numbers for movies, video games this year, plus the election, suggest that many never genuinely cared for these luxury beliefs. Or, at the very least, they're ready to quit chasing them now that emulating celebrity designer brand virtues isn't feeling as good as it used to. Personal application time. What luxury goods or beliefs are you supporting or trying to emulate a piece of? Are you genuinely supporting or enjoying that thing? Is it providing you value? Or would your time and money be better spent elsewhere? I greatly appreciate you spending your time here with me, and I'll see you next time.